What's up, guys? I'm back again. Today, we are a little over a week into the beta here. I guess, hell, we're almost a week and a half. We're getting close to the end here, of course. So, anyways, I've been covering some builds. I've been getting some more recently, just some point of view of the wars that I've been in. And of course, primarily I've been Hatchet and Great Axe for the majority of the beta here. Managed to max out Great Axe. Tons of fun, really strong. But I did go ahead, and at least in the past couple of days, I've started branching out and trying some more weapons. That way, I just have a little bit more, a better understanding of how everything works and how balanced everything feels. And today, I'd like to just spend a little time on the Rapier, right? We'll go ahead, we'll take a look. So this is the build, kind of the talent build that I've come to enjoy. Granted, I haven't maxed out the weapon yet, so I'd love to have a few more points to put in, just some passives and finish off Condo maybe. But I've had some decent, decent situations in PvP with this. I will say, it's not as strong as the Great Axe, unfortunately. I do think they need to tone back the Hatchet and Great Axe. They both just seem to be doing so much more damage than the other weapons in the game, and they also, I would like, just kind of on the note, one thing that kind of disappoints me with the Rapier, right, is that it doesn't have the kind of lunging. There's just like a lunging animation built into Great Axe and even the sword and the Warhammer. I think it might even be on the Hatchet as well. I can't entirely be for sure, but from my experience, it doesn't exist for the Rapier, and so often, if I just kind of find that, like, if I'm not just right up on a target with the Rapier, I can't really hit them at all. So it is a little weird. I do wish, I'm not asking for something as drastic as, say, the Great Axe's. That's, just go hit something on the Great Axe. You'll see how far you can hit them from with just an auto. It lunges to them. I would like to see maybe half that distance on the Rapier, because the Rapier is, it's kind of a shorter melee weapon, or at least it feels that way, and it could definitely benefit for some range or some lunge. Actually, if they didn't change the lunge, I would at least like to see maybe a little bit further range with its abilities. As Tondo feels, it really reaches a lot of far. It does a forward swipe, it applies a bleed, and you can actually hit people from really far, further than melee range, right? So just the fact that doesn't then pair into the actual weapon itself, kind of disappointing at the least. However, one thing that is really nice, and the kind of the bread and butter of this build, is the evade ability here. And what it does is it just acts as like similar to your dodge, except it's much faster, and of course it doesn't use stamina. It's just a cooldown, and it's unique, obviously, to the Grace build here. What's really unique, so you click it, 5.5 second cooldown, so it's really fast. It's kind of part of your rotation. You're going to be using this ability a lot. When you use it, you can get 20 stamina, gain 20% movement speed for 3 seconds. You'll gain when you kind of do it forward, which you'll do it pretty often, especially if you're not tanking a mob. You'll be on its back and you just lunge forward. You won't actually move anywhere. You'll just kind of push into his back. But what it'll do is it'll give you a 15% increased damage on the next hit, which is nice. And then individual successful light attacks reduce the cooldown of this ability by 30%. So that's really great as well, because that allows you to just kind of, you left click, and within 3 left clicks, light attacks, your Grace is back, or your evade rather, right? So you're able to evade. Maybe you do a roll, right, and then you can come back in, hit, dodge, pop, get out. It's all about like kind of hit and dodge. So it's really evasive build, but it's really fun, and I really enjoy it, especially against mobs, right? I do find, and I think having that, maybe having that range added to it, or just kind of tweaking the balance of this weapon, I do feel like when I'm in melee on some mobs, like it's inevitable you're gonna get hit. So having light gear on doesn't feel the best. It feels like in some situations the weapon is built for like a light uh, kind of build, right? Light armor build with the roll. But then in other situations, it feels like you should have at least, like a medium gear set on, or medium weight gear, set whatever breakpoint that makes you a little bit stronger, right? So and that's where it's like, what direction do they want it to go? It's kind of difficult. It's not, both kind of routes have their weakness, but yeah, that's just something to be aware of. And then of course I take flesh here. This is a forward dash. It says it lunges forward in 10 meters. I don't know if that's entirely true. It seems to be a little bit shorter than the charge from the Great Axe. But it reads as 10 meters, which will be the same distance. So, take that. It is faster motion, and it does do great damage. It does 145, and you can also spec it to where when you get a killing blow with it, it drastically reduces cooldown, so you can use it again. I was actually had an opportunity in a Broken War. We were kind of holding a gate. It wasn't actually war, but we were holding a gate, and I was able to just dash back and forth across like the pit, right? I think we even had it out on one of the flags, and I could dash back and forth, and because I was hitting so many people, and every now and then I get a kill, it would just reset, so I could just keep going back and forth. It was really fun. It felt like a charge, get to the other side, come back, charge. It was really cool. But yeah, and then you can do that after performing flesh. Your next critical strike attack will have its damage increased, so that's just some minor buff, whatever. And then they give you this. I don't see much, like I haven't really gotten a lot of value out of this, but it's definitely there. And it's similar to charge, where you can kind of interrupt your charge to get a hit on somebody, right? In this situation, you can flesh, and if you need to stop early because you hit the target, you can, and it'll just kind of fluid into another attack, right? But this is the build I've taken. I've also taken +3 stamina, critical strikes reduce cooldown, get some haste on hit, and then just all hits reduce cooldown, right? That way I can kind of keep my spells up. I like having the reduced cooldown to keep Tondo, to get my Tondo and my flesh back up. Really not an issue with evade, but getting Tondo up, getting as many bleeds up as possible, that's nice, right? Really fun build. If for people who don't care too much about Tondo and they're looking for a little bit more defensiveness, they could opt for Repost. What it does is it kind of holds your sword out for 1 second, and if anybody hits you with a melee or ranged, you'll kind of deflect it. And if it's a melee and they're in melee range, you'll deflect it, and then you'll come back at them with a stun. And it's just a short stun, but it gives you that opportunity to maybe dash behind them, get some stacks, some 1 or 2 light attacks off, and then get out, right? So that's something to consider. Of course, it's got its benefits, but overall for PvP and just kind of general use, this is what I've stuck with. I won't say it's the best by any means. I would agree that blood is better for PvE, and if you're strictly questing, you may just want to stick with blood. If you're in a party, you can stick with blood. But I do recommend trying out the Grace build once you can fill out the Grace passives here, because having all of these tied in with Grace really creates a unique playstyle. It's a bit different than any other weapon I've played, and I really enjoy Rapier. However, we've kind of covered everything here, at least my build. I won't go over blood. I might go into a weapon breakdown later on, but I just want to cover my build. But I do want to say this, with the Rapier, it does seem a little like it needs something. It needs other weapons in the game to become weaker. But at the same time, it's in a really good spot. I also think, like in a PvE situation, an expedition, or maybe AoE mob farming, I did a lot of corrupted portals with this, and I was ripping threat a lot of the time. So I must have been doing the damage, right? No, I didn't have a Carnelian gem, so But I was using this blood tree, and blood tree can do tons and tons. It's got a finisher on it to kind of take your bleed stacks off and let them apply all their damage. You get some jabs. It's really nice, but it just lacks in the survivability department. Damage is there, the evasion is there, but because it just, like I said, it feels like it's shorter versus long, the great axe and things like that seem to have almost a wider swing radius, or it's easier for them to get onto a target. And I'd just like to see that kind of lunge, that built-in lunge, added to Rapier. But so really, I mean, that kind of puts the weapon where it's at, how I feel about it. Weapons that would go well with it, I have tried the bow. If you do enjoy just kind of more of a PvE experience, or you really do just want to stay in the back, however you don't like spell casting, I would go bow. And maybe if you're a solo quester, you just things like that. This is really good for being out in the world. Just pull a target, kill it, pull a target, kill it. It's really strong. But for PvP, any kind of PvP situation, the bow definitely is a high skill, and it's very difficult to use. So not the best for PvP, but for a dungeon, these two could combo really well together. The bow actually has some great expedition, a build for expedition, so something to consider. I see a lot of people go musket rapier. They share the same exact stats, so you can kind of, I feel a certain way about stats, but you can go either way. I would recommend just stacking decks with those two. Musket, I have obviously about 2 kills worth of experience with it, so I won't speak on musket today. However, it doesn't seem to be the most impactful in any situation, but I have used it, so don't take my word for gospel. And then Rapier would also mesh well with all of the magic weapons as well. Fire Staff and Ice Gauntlet, it's a great opportunity for something like when mobs move up close to you, to just kind of finish them off. I found that by the time things got in melee range with Fire Staff, I was just able to make quick work with Rapier. So it was a really nice kind of combo. However, comboing that Rapier with one of the Fire Staff or the Ice Gauntlet for PvP, at least kind of in an open world situation where you need to move a lot, you're not going to be the most mobile. You're going to be squishy. So just, if somebody gets on you, expect to die. Be aware of that, right? Life Staff as well. Life Staff might be able to do a little bit better because of self-sustainability, but similar boat. It's just not the best supplementary weapon. It seems to be more of a main weapon. You need to be using this weapon to get the full benefit of it. I did enjoy Fire Staff, being able to throw up some dots and then swap to Rapier. I would also use Fire Staff just to use I only use Fireball a lot of times, so I'd use it, get a Fireball off, get the dot stacking, and then go ahead and use Rapier. So really, it depends on the situation you want it to be in. And then of course you could potentially pair it with the hatchet, the spear, the sword. They all have tie-ins with decks. I wouldn't recommend it with Great Axe or Warhammer just because statistically it's just not going to work together. One of the weapons is going to suffer while the other one benefits, so take that for understanding. But you could use it with the sword, maybe with the hatchet. Hatchet's really great all around because it gives you survivability, so that always pairs well, right? And then the spear actually gives you a ton of crowd control and also gives a bleed, so you can get a bleed in, swap your get a CC, swap your Rapier, get some more bleeds. Interesting gameplay there. I haven't spent a lot of time with that combo, but that if they kind of shake up the strength weapons, make them not so strong, or balance them in a little bit better, the spear could see a lot of use just because of its CC capability, right? But yeah, that's the Rapier. It really, majority of weapons it could pair with decently. I don't think it necessarily pairs with anything perfectly, because you kind of need it in your hand to get the most benefit from it. Flesh will help you kind of get away from people, so that's all right. Evade will help you dodge around, but take it as you will. It's no It's no hatchet, to say the least. But I enjoy it. I would love to see this weapon be one of to compete a lot better with hatchet, great axe, things like that, because it has really great gameplay. It's really fun to use. I really enjoy it. I like the light attacks. I like the heavy attacks. However, I do wish the heavy attacks would have the same lunge and speed that the sword does. I just think that they should be almost mirrors, because the sword has a really great light attack. I mean, heavy attack. But yeah, and I've rambled on though. We'll just touch real quick on attributes, and that should be all for me. I like to obviously run Dex. If you can run Dex with the Rapier, that is going to benefit it the most. However, majority of my time I was an intellect build because of my fire staff, and I just used a ruby gem, which gave it my Rapier fire damage, and made it scale off of intellect, or intelligence rather, and that seemed to do really great. I didn't feel like the weapon was much weaker than it was with dexterity, and it glowed red, so that was really cool. That's really all I can say there. For people who are really dead set on using the Rapier and really want to use it in PvP, I would recommend trying out a medium build. Like, you go medium weight, which means go full heavy with one leather piece. You can get it from the faction gear. Use the faction seal to swap everything over to dexterity constitution, so all your stats line up. Use a secondary, either hatchet or sword and shield, or the spear. Use one of those three. That's what I would recommend. Make it work. And then I would recommend, for people who have the levels, who are definitely 40 plus, go ahead and put 2 stacks into Constitution, because just having that the way that you're going to get health increases max health by 10% of your physical armor, and you're getting a decent amount of physical armor because you're wearing the heavy. So that's going to make you a lot more chunky and be able to take some hits. And like I said, if your primary concern is using the Rapier, you're going to need to be able to take a hit with the way the current meta works out. But all the luck in the world to you. I love the weapon just as much as you probably, but it needs some love, or other things need to be brought down. But really, yeah, that's all I got. I wouldn't necessarily ever use it in a heavy gear setup. You could try it with a tank as like an off weapon for tanking, and use your Repost as like the counter and stun. But that's for another video, I'm sure. That's really all I've got for the Rapier, guys. I'll just kind of sum it up with saying I love the weapon. I think the weapon plays really well. I think the gameplay that it provides is excellent. I just think on the balancing end, a few other things need to be brought down, and it could maybe use a little love in the reach department, or maybe the lunge department. Make it a little bit easier to hit targets with, and we're golden, right? But yeah, if you have any thoughts you want to share with me, anything you disagree, agree with, whatever, leave them in the comment section below. All right, if you like the video, be sure to thumbs it up, helps a lot. And if you want to see more videos, just hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and yeah, I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.